We are taking your time, but we thought it was important enough to gather you guys here. So you hear exactly that government is not the bad guy. You understand? So as Tosin said, I advise the governor on innovation and tech. My office is newly created. It was created in September last year, and it was just a testament that the government is taking this ecosystem seriously. One of the things that I think baffled the administration, and you'll be surprised, is that they don't know what's going on in here. Not really. You understand? You know what's going on with startups, some of the challenges you are facing. You know, somebody wants to get a permit, it takes them donkey years. You know, and those things really affect business growth. You know, and all of that. So, my office was created to really, number one, understand what is going on and try and remove, some of the barriers to your growth and to your expansion. So last year, in December, we had an event called the Art of Technology. It was basically gathering together people like you, innovation hubs such as this, VC funds, financiers, government people, and really talking to each other and trying to dimension out what exactly the issues are in this ecosystem. And so what came out of that interaction was a master plan, right? And so, and I'm particularly proud of it because it's not a plan the government just decided to do somewhere and push it, onto the ecosystem, because really all those push strategies don't really work. So, the master plan came out of an interaction with the ecosystem. And, that master plan basically is going to be executed on 4 main pillars, right? These were the things, people like you said, look, if we can solve these issues, then we can really grow in this industry. Capital can be released, people can do their work better, really have life. Somebody from energy is here, but we'll talk about that later. So the 4 main pillars of execution are access, infrastructure, talent, and funding, right? So people were like, look, if we can try and solve some of the issues around these 4 main pillars, then you'll start to see exponential growth in this industry. And so when we talk about access, what are we talking about? Access to data, for instance, right? I say this again and again that, look, for instance, she's building Quick Check. Wouldn't it be great if she had access to, say, people's identities, credit scores, maybe anonymized, you understand? So, if somebody needs a loan, right? But you don't know anything about it, but that's what caused you to innovate around, some of the data sets you now have. Or how easier would they have been? How much less money would you have spent if you actually had access to data where you can verify people's identity, criminal background checks, records, stuff like that? Even in the development space, somebody wants to build an application for in the mobility space. Would it be beneficial to know, what's our road network like? You understand? How many roads are in this particular area? Maybe to now sectorize your business. Or if you are building a health application, would it be beneficial if you know the amount of infectious diseases, percentage of infectious diseases we deal with on a yearly or weekly basis? These are some of the data points that might lend to your application for building a much better product. Because I do see a ton of products, but some of them might not particularly address some of the issues. So, I see a lot of products that address a particular need, fine, but they are very good for the UK, they are very good for the US, but they are not that good for Okokomaiko or Akomojo or Baduri. You understand? These are they are data sets that the government has about some of these areas. Now, if they can provide you with some of those things, how better will your products be? Take a guess. You understand? And so we thought that access to data was a really, really preeminent initiative that we needed to do. So we partnered with Budget. I'm sure you guys know the company Budget. And we are, digitizing some of the data sets we have. So that's why I was really interested in some of the things that they are doing. So, we are starting sector by sector. First off, what does Lagos State spend a year? What's their budget like? How much goes into road construction? How much goes into hospitals? How much goes into tourism and all that? These are data sets that might probably lend to better applications, but also increases civil engagement, you understand? So, when you're challenging government, you have facts now, you understand? You have a better way to engage, you understand what I'm saying? So this raises, citizen participation across the board. So there's access, under the access pillar, there's access to data. There's also access to markets, right? And I was saying, possibly, I'm sure there's a foreign investor that will come to Quick Checks, that will see Quick Checks product very soon and say, hey, I'm going to throw in $10 million in here. That is, that's great, and we want more of that, really. In fact, we are thinking of a roadshow this year in San Francisco where we're going to spotlight some startups before a network of VCs. We are looking at Paris as well in mid-year. But what really concerns us is the local money market. Why aren't the millionaires and billionaires investing in you, right? The thing about foreign investment, and it's great, we welcome it, but part of the money starts to go offshore, you understand? And of course that can also affect tax revenues. It will affect the road that is supposed to be built on your street, you understand? Because if some of the money is being shipped, or a large chunk of proceeds are being shipped out, then it affects areas across the civic sector. So why is it that the local money men aren't investing in and keeping some of those funds locally? Sometimes you can't blame them. They just don't know what's going on, right? They don't have the information. They have no idea. Our man here is doing, ideation research, which is pretty cool. You understand? Some of the data that you gather there will lend to some of the investors that are out there, just like, the other side of your business. And so this year we are looking to map a ton of the innovation hubs, startups, ecosystem. So, a man, a millionaire, billionaire, maybe he has money sitting in real estate, has a huge thing, doesn't know what to do with them. But he doesn't understand biosciences, he doesn't understand farm tech or edu tech. When is his rate of return? When is he going to break even? He has no idea. We need to be able to provide a platform of information for them to make better decisions and to put their money here rather than put it in a real estate venture somewhere. Real estate is good, mind you, but we actually need to build solutions. We need to build industries, right, for tomorrow. And so this data will lend to, you understand, giving these people the kinds of information they need to invest in you guys. So that's access to markets. That's just under the access pillar, right? There are other initiatives under the access pillar that we are looking at as well. So there's infrastructure, and I'm always proud to say that for the first time we are doing one of the largest infrastructure project in this side of the world. About 3,000 kilometers of fiber optic cable across the city, a backbone ring, right? And we are connecting public schools, public primary schools, and healthcare facilities for free. Also, along that fiber optic deployment, we're also putting in duct infrastructure. So 6 core ducts where companies can stop digging and spoiling the roads. Just put your wires in there, you understand? Because infrastructure is expensive to maintain. And what that does is it reduces the cost of deployment for those telco companies. And hopefully, we are hoping they will pass those savings on to you in your data plans and all of that. So these are some of the things. So we are not just building infrastructure, we are trying to actually reduce the cost of infrastructure deployment for the already established companies out there. There is work we are doing in talent, in trying to reorganize the curriculum for Lagos State so that from a young age, kids begin to learn a number of additional skills that are useful today. Not just reading and storing information, because that doesn't cut it anymore. You need to be creative, you need to be able to lead, you need to be able to manage projects. So I was saying at the other place I was at, why aren't kids in GS3 learning about project management, right? That's a very useful skill to have at a young age. By the time he gets into university, he already knows how to build companies. You understand what I'm saying? So these are relevant skills that we are adding to the curriculum. We cannot change the curriculum, but we can adapt it, because the curriculum is controlled by the federal government. But Lagos State can adapt some of the things in there to fit some of the industry needs that we have today. We have an open source project that we are also ideating that really is going to lend to developing development capacity, software development capacity across the state. That's under the talent pipeline. We also have funding. Do you guys know that we now have an innovation fund? So Lagos State has, in fact, today is their meeting, the Lagos State Science Research and Innovation Council, right? And that council is tasked with managing the Lagos State Innovation and Research Fund. So by law, and passed it into law, the percentage of Lagos State's capital budget is going to be funneled into innovation and research projects in the universities, right? So we file patents, right? You guys know, we file patents in our universities. We are going to increase that number, especially the Lagos State public institutions, because these patents are the harbingers of wealth. When Elon Musk was going to engineer his SpaceX company, he got a ton of patents from NASA, right? And he built, a rocket that you can reuse, and that has reduced the cost. That's why we're now talking about space tourism, because we couldn't do that before, because it was like maybe $100-200 million just to launch one rocket, and then you're going to throw away everything. You understand? But now you can reuse rockets, and that has opened the door. So we need to start thinking along these lines in terms of developing our own unique solutions that address some of these things. And I must tell you, the universities, they are trying in terms of trying to really engineer some solutions. I was at our event last year, a particular research team entered into the competition that we had at the event, and it was a kind of a crib, a rocking crib for young babies, right? And it had a sequence of light that could cure jaundice in half the time it takes regular medicine. So they just organized a sequence of lights, and a jaundiced baby, right, could be cured like in even less than half the time. And I thought that was really, and I said, do you guys have a patent? They said, yeah, they have a patent pending for that, and they filed it. And I'm like, wow, these are things, I can imagine if you have that across public hospitals. You understand the amount of money you can save on medicine and all of that. These are amazing things that we want to help turbocharge, right? And that is why this office was formed. You understand? So we have all these plans. We need to partner with you, right, to really bring these things into fruition. And so we have a platform called LagosSolutionsHub.com, right? This is a platform that we decided to launch because we know that getting access to state actors and people that make these decisions is very difficult. We are building something in transport. Do I need to know the commissioner of transport? How do I need to know somebody that knows somebody that, you understand? That really makes things inefficient. So what we did was that the LagosSolutionsHub.com, there's a team, when you submit your solution that addresses certain issues across the civic space, they will get the relevant parties for you, right? To hear you out, to hear your MVP. Somebody responds to you in 48 hours, and you go through a 90-day period of when they review, they test, your product. If it fits all the requirements, then, the relevant ministry or agency can adopt it. And that's one of the things that we did, so that, to democratize your access to the decision makers. So that's the LagosSolutionsHub.com. And there are many other things. You can go to the Lagos Innovation Masterplan.ng and just see a cross-section of some of these initiatives that I've talked about. It's a living document. We are iterating it as we go along, as we get more information, as we get new sources of financing, as we, tweak those plans. It's a living document because we created it with the ecosystem, which is you guys. And so you can even send in suggestions that, you are not addressing this particular area. I think you should address it. Do you understand? And, we can review it. If it's appropriate, it gets adopted. That is how responsive, you understand, I want us to be in this office. And so with that, thank you very much.